I mean, warn Mnangagwa that your days are definitely numbered and there's going to be danger ahead. And this is a conversation that we need to have today. And I must say to everyone, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hope you guys are well. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Rumbi Uncensored. And I want to say, if it's your first time to come across this channel, please do yourself a favor and subscribe. Make sure that you ring the bell so that every time I'm live, you will be notified. And also to my regulars, that's always going to hang out with me. I want to send you some love and light and say thank you so much for coming through. But do not forget to like the live so that at least we push algorithm, inviting everyone to the conversation. I must say, people are tuning in right now. And I want to say, welcome everybody. I know you've missed me so much. It has been a minute, but here I am. And let's have a chat. What do you think about what Themba Mliswa is saying? Is he right? But you know, he's a loose cannon. KB, good to see you. I am so excited that you guys are coming through. Super, super excited. Esther, good to see you, man. What's happening? Oh my God, a number of people are joining us and I'm getting really excited. Mama Jean, good to see you. Again, like the live, do not forget. All right, guys, I must say to you that there's one woman. I want to give you an icebreaker, okay? Today I'm not going to start a bit tough. I want to make you relax and be happy a bit. All right, so there is a woman by the name Takaona. This woman really melts my heart. I mean, she's trending on social media right now. She's a 78-year-old. She's from Mashingo, so she's like my neighbor. Right? She's my neighbor. Only God knows when I marry, maybe I may leave Mashingo. For now, that's where I am. Let me read report that was sent out by The Mirror. The Mirror is from Mashingo. I want to read it very quickly for you. That will melt your heart, really. 70-year-old Mbuya Takaona donates a goat to Dombore Nikiti Primary School in Nhasi to supplement as a relish for the food program introduced by government for peoples during the El Nino-induced drought. She lost 40 goats to thieves 5 years ago, and she says she gives to God. Wow, these are like my kind of people. You give to God, we are buddies. I would love you forever. So when I always say to you guys, when people have to give and take cameras, they're not serious. Because Mbuya Raviro Takaona is giving. She doesn't need cameras. It's only those that saw her and they were touched. They had to take a picture and circulate it to just encourage everyone and say, guys, look what our elders are doing. I'm a firm believer that it takes a village because I was brought by a village. I can tell you I was brought by a village. So she lost 40 goats. People stole her goats, 40 of them. But I mean, even out of the little that she's left with, she took one so that the kids can have meat while they're having food at school because of poverty. And that is going on. So what can you do, guys, to also help? Because don't forget that we have that giving, program for those kids that cannot afford school fees. You can still get hold of where that is Dzimbamuto. Hey, Madzimbamuto, sorry. Will Bet Mazimbamuto. He's on X as well. He's a member of parliament. He used to be a member of parliament, but then he was recalled. So you guys can get in touch with him and also stretch your hands and be of a blessing. So I want to send some shout out to Mbuya. I bless you. Esh, may God increase you more and more. And I want him to bless your generations and generations to come. You are nothing but a blessing in our society. Okay, now we are looking at Themba Mliswa. Yo. Okay, it's getting wild though. So we're looking at Themba Mliswa, yeah. We're sending a very strong message to Mnangagwa, very strong. And you also know that Themba has really been closer to Mnangagwa or the sister. I've seen it every time kind of pushing on the 2030 mantra. But no, the brother is out here mad because of Chimombe and Mpofu that are locked up in prison. Now I'm going to read the message that he sends out very strongly. But then the article was now shared by the Nehanda, right? It's Nehanda, yes. So let me read that article quickly. So they said Harare Themba Mliswa, a former Norton legislator, believes the 7.7 million presidential goat scheme scandal involving Mike Chimombe and Mpofu is being driven by politics rather than legal. We all know that it's politics, of course. Who doesn't know that it is? Yeah, it's Willard Mazimbamuto, bless you. Who doesn't know that it's a political move? We all know that, right? If you guys can hear me, please make sure that you drop your location and some love and likes that you can hear me well. Last time people were like, we can't hear you. Can you guys hear me well? Please drop your location. I need to know where you guys are watching us from. All right, so the outspoken politician has claimed that the decision to broadcast The case live confirmed his suspicion of a third hand controlling the narrative. Mliswa argued that Chimombe should have been granted bail long ago, as he is not directly linked to the case. I didn't want to comment on the Chimombe&Mpofu case, but the latest revelation that the case will be broadcasted live has confirmed my suspicion that there is a third hand behind. The case is more political than legal, as all vestiges of the latter have fallen away. Mliswa posted on his X handle on Sunday. The theatrics are the efforts of a hidden hand making a statement of power. The basic facts of the case itself would allow for Chimombe to be given bail long back, as he has nothing to do with the case. It's not his company. He was never part of the negotiations for the God deal. Yet the hidden hand seeks to flex its power, flaunt its extravagant leverage in ZANU PF. We all know who the third hand is, but time is our master. An ex-convict can only survive for so long, even with all the money to silence and buy support. Mliswa claimed that the third hand is an ex-convict, suggests that controversial businessman with Mnangagwa is behind the arrest of Chimombe&Mpofu. That's quite interesting to hear. Who doesn't know that there is an invisible hand that is controlling the whole thing? Of course, it's known who is the Chimombe&Mpofu detention coincided with the emergence of incriminating voice notes featuring Chivayo discussing massive 100 million Zimbabwe Electoral Commission tender. The roots of their dispute lay in payment disagreements with the prompted the leak. Which prompted the leak, my bad. Although their arrest was not a direct result of the ZEC scandal, they face allegations related to the presidential gold scheme, 7.7 million, and street lights tender, 9.2 million. But Mliswa is drawn in parallel with his own experience under ZRP Commissioner Chihuri's regime, where he claimed he faced relentless persecution. He warned those abusing power that their actions would ultimately catch up with them. Mliswa has questioned the selective attention given to this case, citing larger corruption cases like the Sandura Commission being kept under the wraps. Yet even bigger corruption cases like the Sandura Commission have been held away from the limelight. It's very sad how a whole system can be corrupted and abused to pander to the whims of a moneyed person, Mliswa said. Chivayo, whose source of wealth is controversial, recently mocked his former associates, calling them fraudsters and idiots. The businessman has donated millions worth of vehicles to his church and musicians of his choice and members of ZANU PF. The ex-convict, together with his company, Intratech Zimbabwe Private Limited, were acquitted of misappropriating 5.6 million for the above abortive 100 megawatts Gwanda solar panel. And this is actually Nehanda reporting. But by the way, I've made it very clear to you that Mnangagwa should be the one that needs to be answerable to everything. I don't even think that Themba, Mliswa and the friends would assume Chivayo is a problem. I mean, if Chivayo was that bad, would he be doing what he's doing in front of the government and nothing happens to him? You've seen him flying with the president. You've heard all the audios that are circulating. This guy flaunting, man, as we speak, he took out the picture that he dropped on social media with money everywhere. In the midst of the currents that we are fighting with, he's still showing money, US dollars. So do you blame him? Of course, Mnangagwa is behind the entire saga. It's Mnangagwa. You know, I don't want people who have a tendency of lying, blaming, you know, the small little boys, and now exonerate the real big fish. Mnangagwa is the president of a country. He sees all these shenanigans because he knows it's part of the cartel. I mean, now it just pushed me to believe what Hopo Chimone has been saying on social media, that Mnangagwa has created a criminal cartel in the country. He has created a criminal cartel. A president of a country. By the way, now beyond reasonable doubt, I've realized that Mnangagwa has never had no intentions to lead this country from the beginning. And I'm going to tell you why. The allegations that were dropped by Jealousy about a day ago, Mwari, and he said, Mnangagwa worked tirelessly to destroy almost every project that Mugabe was like working on. So show me any leader who would spend their time to sabotage another person. This is why I'm still stuck to my guns. Then any potential leader in Zimbabwe who has ambition to destroy another politician is not the right person to work with. That's cancer that is about to happen to the Zimbabwean people. The only leader should be someone who is willing to work with others to make Zimbabwe a better place. So Mnangagwa, jealous Mwari, he has been working tirelessly in the background to destroy every project that Mugabe was, so that Mugabe would be called a bad leader. So is that the person that we can wake up today and say is the president of a country? So we, the people, especially the elders and those that were privy to the information, need to take full responsibility for failing to warn Zimbabweans in 2017. I was so literally blank. I did not know Mnangagwa's character. If I knew him the way that I do right now, I would have stand on the tower and said, this man should never be trusted with the leadership in the country. It's not a leadership quality. He doesn't have it. Now, Neva Masurase went straight to respond to Themba Mliswa and said the long and short of it is that every corruption tracks back to Emmerson Mnangagwa's pre-K farm. He is the commissioner of all corruption in Zimbabwe and the criminal in chief who has rendered the economy defunct. Every other cosmetic line to describe things won't help anybody. Chero akada kuzama kupomera vamwe iye Emerson ndiye dambudzo renyika guru tozvitaura asi vana mofela hatina kana mumwe chete watinotya. I repeat, Emerson Mnangagwa is the chief architect of all corruption in Zimbabwe. Zimwe corruption dzese mungataure but zvizukuru zvamunoona mazita atinawo aya ane simba riri maari. Pavakamuti dambudzo vainge vatofemerwa nevari kumatenga kuti richave dambudzo renyika mwana iyeyo. Zvino hapo kachiona manje nyika yaparara. Iye tucha kuvhura magarden nemamochari achiziva zvake kuti ari kumora mari yenyika. Okay, that is actually a Neva Masurase here responding to Themba Mliswa. But I saw a video of Mnangagwa's sister that was circulating on social media, and the sister said something so staggering. She actually said that she was asked to eat was it the heart of the snake or something? I remember that video. I'm gonna look for it, but I saw it like about a week or 2 weeks ago, circulating once again. And I remember someone saying that the reason why these people no longer have heart for the country, they don't have no conscience, is because some of them may have eaten the heart of a snake, right? And the sister of Mnangagwa is on record, saying that she was asked to eat, I think, was it a snake or the heart of a snake? Something to do with that. But then she was laughing. And the people took her words lightly. But to me, it was like, we don't care. As long as it's us who's benefiting, we don't care how you guys feel. So they don't care. And you also know that Wiki Noshivayo actually gave money, I don't know, to join Landers Trust, and we know it's all corruption here. I'm going to read the message that was sent out by the Techmark TV, that the controversial businessman Wiki Noshivayo donates $250,000 to John Landangomo Trust. He also donated a 2024 Ford Ranger, Wild Trucks 301 V6 double cab, pickup worth 80,000 for personal use by the chairman of the trust, Mr. Javulani Ngomo. I must say this, okay? I may not want to say a lot right now because for personal reasons, and not only personal reasons, but I think for the right time, the truth will come out. This Ngomo family owns a lot of properties in South Africa. This Ngomo family that we are talking about here. So I'm seeing a kind of cleaning of dirty money and just lying like I'm donating money to the trust. Like I said, time will reveal anything. Don't worry, time will reveal everything. Because you are paying 250,000 to Ngomo's trust. Guys, what kind of generous Wiki Noshivayo is always hanging around prominent people, not the people that are genuinely suffering in the country. We are seeing a number that some of them are going to bed on empty stomach. But then Wiki Noshivayo would rather give money to those that already have the money. That will tell you it's just cleaning of dirty money. Exchange a clean of dirty money. Nothing else. It has nothing to do with giving, but cleaning of dirty money. And also, do you even know that people that bought those gold coins, quote unquote, have lost money? And I must say to you, guys, you must never trust this financial system in Zimbabwe. The Reserve Bank, going to the central bank, all these guys, Minister of Finance, everything is a game. These guys are simply criminals who are just masquerading as leaders and destroying the country. And with that being said, if you are looking at really investing your money safely, then consider opening a company in South Africa. And from opening a company in South Africa, you also still have a bank account that can operate as an investment account. Please, if you have interest on this, check in my description box. I'm going to drop the number that you can connect me. We'll assist you in having those facilities of investing your money safely. And also buying properties. If you're looking at buying properties in South Africa, look no further, but get in touch with me. I can be able to plug you with the right people who can sell to you value for money. All right, so moving on. People that have invested money into this gold coin, quote unquote, lost 50% of the money overnight. These people are real criminals. They've been doing this like it's a vicious cycle of wickedness, right? A vicious cycle of wickedness. It's only in Zimbabwe where it happens. I've been in South Africa for 20 years. Only in Zimbabwe, I never heard what I'm hearing here. For 20 years. But I left Zimbabwe when there was already drama, even though I was young. But I'm just saying there was already drama. So these are criminals, hardcore criminals. Let me read that again, post that was sent out by Themba TV that saw thousands who had actually bought gold coins in Zimbabwe, hoping that they had captured value through the asset, have also not been spared by the Mayor Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe announcement. The coins slide from 36 to 71 against the dollar overnight. So almost a 50% loss of value. It's gone. Gone. Money's gone. I know my daddy lost all his money in Trust Bank, right? Trust Bank brought us from heroes to nothing overnight, right? The man was in my name, and you know what that meant to the family, right? Because it took time. My siblings would just look at me and say, "You are the reason why, man." Oh God. Disappeared. Until my mom would be like, leave my child alone. She's not actually Zimbabwe. She did not make the decision. But my siblings just say, you are the reason why we lost the money. It wasn't my fault. The bank woke up closed with my daddy's money. So I can only imagine what people have been through, right? It's a generation of pain. So I talk from experience, not from what I've heard. I talk from experience. You know the burden of carrying the you understand that you say something. My siblings are like, hey girl, you are the reason why money got lost in this family. But it wasn't my fault. I was simply trying to do the right thing, as a young child. Anyway, the sanctions rhetoric, again, being used as a weapon to silence people. The last time I checked, the sanctions are gone, right? The last time I checked, are gone. We don't have sanctions in the country, except the sanctions that are definitely just affecting individuals who have been caught, being part and parcel of financial illicit flows and corruption, which includes the president of Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa. He's also sanctioned, right? And his bodies. Now, funny enough, this using the very same rhetoric. This is actually these criminals are the worst that I ever lived in history. And I actually saw a video that was circulating where my brother, E.L. Gringo, sometimes he's crazy, but he was like, he nailed it because he confronted the entire system and he made it very clear, you guys are the most criminals that we have never seen. You lie, you can't be trusted at all. Mutuli and friends, which include Mnangagwa himself, no one trusts him anymore. Nobody trusts Mnangagwa and his leadership. And there's no leadership at all. He's for criminal cartel that he has built to destroy lives. And then he just come out and be saying all manner of things. Be these few days where he came out and he was talking on sauna. The sauna thing could not solve no problem. It's all about rhetorics. And I know George Charamba, when he hear me, he's like, okay, we made a mistake for failing to silence you. That's George Charamba threatening me. He was like, we made one mistake for fail to censor you. And I'm like, the last time I checked, you have no powers to censor me because this is my platform. Next time when you build your own, then you have the power to censor. As long as these are my gouges, my platform, you have no power to censor. Here, we speak truth to power. We don't cut no corners at all. We don't. And we don't even take threats that easily. We don't take them threats easily. At the same time, we don't even get moved by threats at all. The only time we get moved is when you are standing by the principle. Then we have respect. We respect you. But if you're cutting corners right in front of our eyes, we're going to call you out. And it's still reminding you that there will be consequences in future. Now, Ruchena Matinyana is confronting Muchangwa. Again, you know that Muchangwa has been very quiet. And I actually saw Sevia Kasukure asking, why Muchangwa so quiet? But anyway, Muchangwa is again coming out with all these sanctions rhetoric. But Ruchena Matinyana could not have it because he had to rebuke him and said, Mr. Muchangwa, don't waste people's time with lies, right? You must not lie. We know you're telling lies. The issue of sanctions, we know where we stand. It's only Mnangagwa and his friends who are still in trouble because of the stealing, right? Because of stealing. So, let's listen to Mr. Rutendo Matinyana silencing Muchangwa for lying regarding the issue of sanctions. Take a listen, please. It's quite interesting.
Sends a signal to them that you can go and do business in Zimbabwe. So this is a very positive thing that sanctions have been removed. Even the mere mention of the word remove, it relaxes the apprehension of boardrooms in America, business boardrooms, about going to Zimbabwe to do business. And this signal by President Biden to say sanctions have been removed, it goes down very, very well. So we like it from that aspect.
And it's very encouraging to hear the spokesperson of ZANU PF admitting that sanctions on Zimbabwe were removed. And let me specify what I mean by that. Sanctions were initially on government departments, ministries of the government, parastatals, companies of Zimbabwe, financial institutions of Zimbabwe, basically a prohibition of trade without a license from the US Secretary of State. Those sanctions that stopped us from trading our gold through Fidelity, that stopped us from trading through MMCZ, our minerals, have all been removed. The sanctions that stopped us from getting machines and machine parts for our hospitals, that actually stopped us from repairing our cancer equipment, all those have been removed. Hence, you saw cancer machines in Pilo Hospital together with Parengatwa are being fixed on a contract with American companies that manufactured those particular machines, giving us parts and technical assistance. Clearances of our monies through the US system, us asking for loans and being denied those loans based on other issues that are not about sanctions has been taking place because the executive order sanctions that were on Zimbabwe have been removed. Some people have tried to say, but hold on, there are sanctions on the president, so those are sanctions on Zimbabwe. No, those are individual sanctions. They are illegal. They are Magnitsky sanctions. They have been imposed without due process. And those sanctions that are on the president, his wife, the vice president, the minister of defense, together with 3 black billionaires and their companies, have been tailored to try and discriminate and destroy these business people so that they cannot grow the economy of Zimbabwe. But the issue and the difference between those sanctions and the ones that were collectively punishing civilians is that these sanctions are individual sanctions that can be challenged by these multi-billionaires together with our president by simply writing letters to OFEC giving reasons why it is that they shouldn't be under those sanctions. And if that fails, they can actually go to court and get damages in the process. But the sad part is that the billionaires and some of the people involved have not shown a willingness to actually go to court to be removed from those sanctions. So that is no longer a sanction that is affecting the nation, but it is a sanction that they are opting not to deal with. Then some say, but there's ZDERA. ZDERA is not a sanction. ZDERA is an act of the United States government, and that act to ask in Section 6 for the United States president to use his executive powers to impose sanctions on Zimbabwe. So the act itself could not have been a sanction if it was going to ask the US president for permission or for him to use his executive orders to actually impose sanctions on Zimbabweans. Congress does not have the power to call war. It has no power to call for an economic war, which is what sanctions are. Only the President of the United States, through his unitary presidential powers or executive powers, is the only person that can do that. So ZDERA is not a sanction, even though we've been lied to that it is a sanction. So some people say, but it says in that ZDERA document that US directors will be asked not to vote for Zimbabwe to get loans. That is a misunderstanding because it's a preamble. It's giving a background of how the United States got to be in a situation where they're creating a law to actually sanction us. They were saying we did not adhere to ISAP, which our government signed, by the way. They were not victims. They signed ISAP in the same way they keep signing things that are questionable. They signed ISAP and they said that they would adhere to the conditions of ISAP because they were getting monies that belong to the Americans and their Western partners. When our government signed up to that, they did not adhere to the conditions of ISAP. So they were not paying their debts and they were spending money that they were being lent by other countries on things that they did not agree with those other countries. Whether those things should have been spent money on, like the Congo War was important or not, that's not the issue in this particular discussion. So the government breached the ISAP conditions and then they didn't pay their debts. And then the biggest problem is our government is not a highly indebted poor country, so we cannot have debt cancellation. That is why we say to the government, use reparations for the illegal sanctions. And you have to understand that the reason I'm talking about these issues, the reason I'm angry about this denial that sanctions were removed, is that the government of Zimbabwe and ZANU PF are trying to write out certain people from history. The sanctions were removed because of civil society organizations like ZASAM and BAS. BAS is the Broad Alliance Against Sanctions that camped outside the US Embassy for a period of 4 years. Every morning, they would use a fire to cook, they would collect water from buckets, trying to show the people that would be driving in and out of the US Embassy, the employees of the United States, the suffering that every single civilian of Zimbabwe was suffering because of their illegal sanctions. And they touched hearts and minds. This is why there was a change in the sentiment from US employees in the embassy writing to the government saying sanctions must be removed. Then there was us. We took the more technical route. Our own government eventually joined us and began to give us mandates. For instance, lobbying certain governments within the region to ensure that they begin to champion the fight against sanctions. We did that. We were asked to do that. We began legal action against the United States and implementers of those sanctions, like the South African banks. And that in itself caused an earthquake within the United States, where the ambassador of Zimbabwe had to be called to the Department of State to explain who these people that were suing the United States government were. In South Africa, the same thing happened. Our ambassador here had to account for who were these people that were taking a whole US president to court in the South African courts. And sooner or later, we saw the United States sending its advisors to speak to people like myself. And they asked us, what would you like to see? If we removed sanctions from civilians, would you be happy? And we said, we won't be happy on the removal of sanctions on civilians only. We want sanctions removed on all Zimbabweans because the sanctions were imposed by an organization and a country that has no power to adjudicate international law, and they were done without trial. That is the same thing with the Magnitsky sanctions that are on Zimbabweans as we speak. And with that, the United States government, 30 days after that conversation with their advisors, Congress sent a subcommittee on human rights, health, and organization for the first time in the history of US sanctions to come and do an impact assessment, a human rights impact assessment of the sanctions on civilians. And that organization discovered that the people of Zimbabwe were not enjoying healthcare, women were dying, children were dying, there was malnutrition, and human rights were not being enjoyed. So they wrote a report to Biden. They said to Biden, our sanctions are hurting civilians, and as such, we need to remove them. This is why you heard the US government saying, we are going to refocus our sanctions from civilians to targeted politicians. That was our work, a collective work of civil society, because only civilians and civil society are the ones that moved the government of the United States and Congress to actually say, let's look at the impact of these sanctions on civilians. That never happened before ZASAM came about. It never happened before BAS came about, because no one ever took the strategy we took of depoliticizing the fight against sanctions and making it a fight for human rights, taking it to multilateral institutions like the UN Human Rights Council. We are the first people to apply on that website and to convince the Minister of Justice for us to actually call the UN to be involved. We also told them we need to go to the International Court of Justice. This is what the Americans responded to. That's why Zimbabwe is the only country in the world where their sanctions have been removed without them capitulating to the demands of the United States government and without them being destroyed. Our government has failed to acknowledge that. And this lack of acknowledgement of the work that is done by people who are dedicated to the nation is a disease that this particular new dispensation has. It's a listening government. Our president is a listening president. But around him are people who steal people's ideas, people who pull people down who are doing great work. And we're saying to the president, you will never build a nation without your best minds contributing and being acknowledged for their work. There's been a cost for what we do. In ZASAM, we've seen separation of people angry because they thought me as the leader of ZASAM was getting rewarded without rewarding them. But yet our government failed to reward people that did the work.
All right, so you can hear General Machina try to elaborate on the issue of sanctions, that, yeah, sanctions are off, except on those that have been caught, in criminal activities. And unfortunately, we all just kind of talking about things. And yesterday I was having a conversation with someone who said to me, there's no government in Zimbabwe. We need to tell each other the truth. We don't have any. We just have criminals who are doing what they want to do. There is no government. If there was a government, we would be talking about these issues today. We'll be discussing about projects, work being done, women being a bit protected, young children being but there's none of those. Actually, with that being said, I'm thinking to, like I told you last time, that I'm going to start not starting a YouTube channel. I already have a YouTube channel that is sitting more than 10,000 subscribers. And I want to dedicate this one to women, because as we speak, men are kind of making their moves, and I'm referring to politicians. But I've never heard women what they're saying about the future. And women, we are the ones who are carrying a lot of burden, as far as families are concerned. So I think we need to start having conversations, robust conversations. What I love about 2024, we don't have to wait to gather in Zimbabwe. We can do it online. Across the world, women come together and have a map of where we are going as a people. Because if we don't do it, no one else will. No one will do it. We have been sitting with the ZANU PF Women's League. I don't see anything except them dancing and be shaking around and just drinking and eating and bootleg politicians. Nothing else. We've seen kids being abused. I never saw them even holding any placard at the court and do something like they do in South Africa. None. The ANC Women's League are good. But EFF, they stand by the people. But no, in a Zimbabwean situation, no, it's just bootleg politicians and bootleg, looters like Chinese people, bootleg criminals who are in Dubai, bootleg, nothing else. The country is stagnant. We don't have a government in Zimbabwe. We just need to be honest with one another and say, how can we hold hands and find ways for us to rebuild our country in the right direction. Let's start planning now, because the change is on the horizon. Things are going to shift in a twinkle of an eye. The question is, where are we going to start? Because we don't know how to prepare. Zimbabweans, we need to start to prepare. Let's prepare for the future. Not worrying about all these shenanigans. These guys are simply wasting our time. All we want to do is to find mechanisms of how we are going to get our monies back that were looted. How are we going to get all that has been stolen? How are we going to rehabilitate our children that they've drugged so that they can carry on their criminal activities? How can we then going to be able to follow even the Chinese looters to take our minerals? Because I can tell you, my speculations are, the Chinese that are destroying Zimbabwe, the pictures you are seeing that are very, very disturbing. I guarantee you, they are working with politicians in Zimbabwe, not selling, but I think stocking our minerals in China, stocking for future trade. I can guarantee you, because the greed that is among these people is unfathomable. For that reason, they are working in cohorts with Chinese people to take everything so that tomorrow they wake up and say, we need to go back and buy from China. Chinese have, we are buying from themselves again. So we need to wake up, guys, and do the right thing. Come together, hold hands. If we don't unite, we'll perish. We need to unite against criminals, not against politicians. I think at this point in time, we need to agree on one thing. Politics have failed the Zimbabwean people. The only route that will free us and that will save our country is coming together against criminals. You understand? Coming together against criminals. And I can guarantee you, then we will see freedom. Because while you and I are having discussions, did you see what's going on currently? They are busy talking about 2028 elections. There are very some criminals. What they want is to rope us into nonsense, no reforms, just lying, hoodwinking. Then we are being roped into this again to endorse nonsense. Yeah, I told you, without reforms, proper reforms, without transitional authority on paper, black and white, I am not going to promote no election for 2028. And I'm stuck to my guns. I need to see proper stuff for me to say, I'm not going to be used and abused by thieves. No, I'm better than that. I'm better, and I still believe that even now, you're also better than this. We cannot carry on promoting nonsense. We need to stand firmly, holding each other's hands to build a Zimbabwe that makes sense. All these are lies. Sanctions, lies. How many monies we have had in the country? Lies upon lies upon lies. Tomorrow they'll come with another currency. Lies upon lies. We've got gold coins. All they want is to loot, to bleed Zimbabweans dry. To bleed our people dry. Now there's also an issue of the money for the 4 million that the 4 million that that was robbed in Malawi. Before we talk about the 4 million, so I'm gonna tell you the book that I'm reading. It's called On the Move. Yeah, for those, What's Your Move? Sorry, my bad, by Nicholas Mashile. For those that have, that are trying to reshape their financial status. I think I'm in that zone at the moment. I need to redirect my path. I need to fix my life. There's so many things that I didn't do right. I swear. So you're not alone. You don't feel bad at all. You are not alone. We need to understand that we're not failures. We can always correct those that we don't do right. So I'm in that season where I'm reshaping my life. I redirect my path. I did a lot of nonsense in my 30s. Yeah, I vibed. But, I need to reshape myself. Guys, tell me the books that you're reading. Drop the books that you are reading currently. Let's read books. Let's prepare. Zimbabwe, a better Zimbabwe is on the horizon. It's coming, and we are going to build this country together. No one is going to be left behind. There's nobody who's going to be better. All of us will build the Zimbabwe that we want. So guys, tell me what you think in the comment section about Themba Mliswa confronting Mnangagwa. Be careful. There's going to be danger ahead. Don't play it. He's just kind of playing around like he's talking to Wikiloch, and he knows he's confronting Mnangagwa. There's going to be danger ahead. I'm also a firm believer that whenever you sow evil, it's a matter of time before you reap, because you have sown your seeds, they are going to germinate and they're also going to grow. Then there'll be time for harvest. Remember, harvest is not a seed. When you harvest, you genuinely harvest. So he's just warning them, guys, we are very close. Chihuri did for me. That's what Themba is saying. He messed me up, Chihuri. But where is he today? He's on the run. What is that supposed to mean? For those that have been sowing wrong seeds, you're going to be on the run. And the time is fast approaching. And once again, I encourage you to fix Chikurubi. Equip Chikurubi while the sun is still shining. Because the time will come when that's going to be your home for life. If they don't consider firing squad. Because your sins, you're not stopping. It's one thing to make mistakes and you're like, I've done mistakes and I'm prepared to change, right? These ones are not prepared to change. So there is a possibility that they can unleash firing squad on them. You need to go. You're not worth living. You've destroyed everything. What else do you want? You killed innocent people. You tortured innocent people, right? You destroyed destiny by dragging young people for your own gain. And you expect to come in and be walking around Zimbabwe like everything is okay and people are watching. No way. Your time is coming where you need to be paid for your sins. So if you're wise, equip Chikurubi. That's just my advice. Or else, you're going to move from hero to zero. Don't forget your kids have seen you being like this macho man and this successful woman call yourself a billionaire when you know you're a thug and you're a thief and you're destroying lives. It's coming for you. It's really coming. It's going to rain. It's going to rain. All I can offer is Jesus. I'm only going to offer you Jesus because you know what? He's the one that saved me too. He's the one that saved me, so he can save you too. You know, no one is beyond the redemption. So Jesus, I can offer you as a free gift to receive him and do right. Once again, I love you guys. I bless you and have a good one. I'll see you later on. And bye for now, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if it's your first time. And also like the live before you leave, y'all. Like the live before you leave. Okay. I love you and God bless you. Bye for now, guys.